It was made by Madam First Deputy Speaker. The House will proceed to consider a question without notice, and this is the 45 minutes which is allocated to members of Parliament to pose a question to Her Honour the Vice President. This was Her Honour the Vice President's question time.
Thereafter, we had two ministerial statements. In the first ministerial statement, the Minister of Health made a statement on the outbreak of typhoid in some parts of Petauke Central Parliamentary Constituency. The ministerial statement followed a directive by Madam Speaker on a matter of urgent public importance raised by Mr. Emmanuel Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central on Thursday, 2nd March 2023. And so the Minister dispelled the assertion that there was an outbreak of typhoid and briefed the House on the measures being taken to prevent diseases outbreaks.
So on that particular day, two ministerial statements were rendered, and the second ministerial statement came from the Minister of Energy, and this ministerial statement was on the approved electricity connection fees following a directive by Madam Speaker on a matter of urgent public importance raised by Mr. Luke Simumba, who is a Member of Parliament for Nakonde, and this was raised on Tuesday, 7th March 2023. And the Minister briefed the House on the benefits of the approved connection fees and measures being taken to cushion the impact of increased fees on vulnerable members of society. And we did see quite a number of members of Parliament did ask follow-up questions seeking clarity from the two cabinet ministers following the ministerial statements that they rendered.
The House went on to consider questions for oral answer number 205 to 206 under Standing Order 76. And so when business was interrupted on Friday, 17th March 2023, under consideration was question for oral answer number 207. And so when Madam First Deputy Speaker interrupted the proceedings and business stood adjourned, on the floor of the House was the Member of Parliament for Petauke, Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda. And so Madam First Deputy Speaker adjourned the House accordingly at 12:57 hours. And so that is basically business that was considered on the floor of the House on Friday, 17th March 2023. And so just now we take a look at business that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today.
We do expect 7 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74, and these are ordinary questions. And also we do have 3 questions for written answers. Let's also look at orders of the day today, Matimbo, on the other side of the today's order paper.
And so we have the Anti-Terrorism and the Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022, which is coming at a second reading stage.
We also have one bill, which is a government bill, and this is which will be presented by the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, and this is National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2023. That's the Environment Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2023. And like my colleague mentioned earlier on, there will be consideration of the question for oral answer. That's question 207. This is the question that was posed on the 17th of March. As you can see on your screens, that's Madam Speaker's procession making way to the chamber. Good afternoon, and keep watching Parliament Television.
Honorable members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Speaker. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have one announcement to make. The announcement is that I wish to inform the House that the National Assembly of Zambia Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026, which was approved in 2022, will be launched on Wednesday, 22nd March 2023. The launch will take place in the auditorium here at the main buildings at 09 hours. Honorable members are invited to the launch and should be seated by 08:45 hours. Attendance is on voluntary basis. I thank you. Can we make some progress? Matters of urgent public importance. Honorable members, as we raise matters of public importance, let's remember that this is not a time to debate, and the matter that is raised should be of some urgent nature, which if the government does not do anything, it will result in a catastrophe. Where the government is aware and doing something about it, that matter will not be admitted. So please be guided accordingly. So we start with the Honorable Member for Chirubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter of... Madam Speaker, can I be protected from this group?
You are protected, Honorable Member. Don't just say,
No. I cannot avoid... Madam Speaker, I cannot guarantee you that I will not say that.
Proceed, Honorable Member.
Madam Speaker, I cannot guarantee you that I will not say that. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know that that was on a lighter note. Without wasting time, Madam Speaker, I would like to rush into the matter of public urgent importance, which relates to our traveling people, especially coming from South Africa. Our people that are coming from South Africa have been subjected to different inconveniences, especially when they pass through OR Tambo International Airport. They are required to produce the COVID certificate, vaccination, and as you may know, Madam Speaker, is that this particular condition was relaxed in the region, especially after COVID in some way was subdued.
The honorable members that guided, please do not debate, and you have not stated to which minister you are directing your matter of urgent public importance.
Madam Speaker, this matter involves the Minister of Foreign Affairs as well as the Minister of Health, the two ministries. Madam Speaker, the requirement for the COVID vaccine is inconveniencing our traveling population, especially passing through Ora Tambo those that are coming from the Euro route, as well as those that are coming from South Africa. Madam Speaker, I raise this matter because some of the members of the public that are using this route are coming from to seek medical attention, and they are inconvenienced at a point of exit when possibly they have run out of any resource. I have in my hands the document that I will surrender to your office that is costing 1,157.79 in terms of quarter, not rands. To me, Madam Speaker, is that when members of the public who are traveling and at a point of exit, when they are not even psychologically prepared, some of them have been forced to incur expenses on accommodation, they have been forced to incur expenses on food, and inconvenienced in different ways than they calculated, and their trips curtailed to Zambia. Madam Speaker, I would like to seek your guidance, especially that South African Airways did indicate that they have gotten instructions from Zambia that such is a requirement as the people enter into Zambia. This goes far as my case, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Chilubi. Whereas your matter that you have raised is important, but it does not qualify to be admitted as a matter of urgent public importance, Honorable Member, you are advised to put in an ordinary question. The next one, Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Madam Speaker, I wish to first of all welcome you back and allow me to direct an urgent matter to our Honor the Vice President, seeing that the Minister of Foreign Affairs is not present today. Madam Speaker, on the 20th of March 2023, an international conference in Russia took place. This international conference, Madam Speaker, was themed International Parliamentary Conference on Russia and Africa. In that particular conference, Madam Speaker, there were different heads of states that attended that high-level engagement. And from the conference proceedings, Madam Speaker, we note that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, did not attend that conference. We also note that the Vice President did also not attend that high-level conference. We also note that in that particular conference, Madam Speaker, there was no delegation at a very high level from the Republic of Zambia. Madam Speaker, the question that the people of Zambia are asking, which leads me to my urgent matter of public importance, relates to our relationships and our relations between Zambia and Russia. The argument, Madam Speaker, the observation that the people are making is that Zambia's relations with Russia are not as warm as they were. Is our Honor the Vice President in order not to assure this nation and not to assure the people that Zambia continues to enjoy warm and cordial relations with Russia? Madam Speaker, I seek your indulgence.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, if you had followed my guidance, that matter which you have raised touches on Zambian policy or Zambia's relationship with Russia. So it does not qualify to be raised as a matter of urgent public importance, because if there is no answer that is provided today, what catastrophe is going to result? Please put in a question in the ordinary manner, and then the minister can be able to answer it or address it. Honorable members, please, as you raise your matters, we have a lot of work to do. So if you are curtailed now, don't feel like you are being stopped from expressing yourself. But we need to manage our time. The Honorable Member for Petauke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to raise the matter of urgent public importance on the Standing Order 134, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the matter is directed to the Minister of Mines. Madam Speaker, in Northwestern Province, we have got a lot of mines, and the geological report shows that they have got a lot of minerals, and gold is one of the minerals which are on the report, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, each and every day we have got workers who stays in Johannesburg, South Africa, but they work in the mine in northwestern province, Madam Speaker, and they commute every day using the private planes, Madam Speaker, and the private airstrips. Madam Speaker, every day our minerals are leaving Zambia, especially gold, Madam Speaker, whereby we have got a lot of things which...
Honorable Member for Petauke, order. Clearly the matter that you are bringing up does not qualify. We're within the standing order 134 and 135. Please familiarize yourself. I've given guidance. So if nothing is done about those people who are flying from South Africa into Zambia, into northwestern province. No, you were debating, so we have other matters to attend to. Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I rise on a matter of urgent public importance pursuant to Standing Order number 134, read together with 135C. Madam Speaker, most of our hard-working civil servants are swimming in debts and unable to sustain their lives, more especially in the face of high cost of living, and also increased statutory reserve ratio from 9% to 11.5%. Madam Speaker, the high cost of living has also skyrocketed to about 9,900 kwacha per family of 5. At the backdrop of this, Madam Speaker, is the International Monetary Fund bailout package, whose conditions are very harsh, and our people generally, Madam Speaker, are suffering. They are hungry and tired. Madam Speaker, my matter of urgent public importance.
Go to your matter of urgent public importance. Please do not debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My matter of urgent public importance, Madam Speaker, is therefore directed at the Minister of Finance. When is he going to update the nation on the benefits that the Zambian people have started accruing from the International Monetary Fund bailout package, Madam Speaker? I thank you.
Honorable Member from Pika, your matter you have raised is important. The people of Zambia would want to know what the benefits they are accruing from the IMF package, but it does not qualify to be raised as a matter of urgent public importance. If you feel so strongly, please put in an urgent matter. It will be addressed. The Honorable Member for Nakonde.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving this opportunity to the people of Nakonde. Madam Speaker, my matter is directed to the Minister of Agriculture. Madam Speaker, the cost of living now in Zambia is unbearable. Madam Speaker, in the recent past, we have seen our people queuing to buy meal, Madam Speaker. And this, Madam Speaker, hasn't spared my people in Nakonde. Madam Speaker, as I speak now, in Nakonde, a bag of meal is at 300 kwacha, making very impossible.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable Member for Nakonde, please come up to your matter of urgent public importance quickly.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I was saying the bag of meal, Madam Speaker, in Nakonde is at 300 kwacha, and to our surprise, we are seeing the trucks carrying maize going to Tanzania, passing our border. Is the Minister of Agriculture, Madam Speaker, in order to keep quiet without providing us with relief maize so that the people of Nakonde can benefit from this aspect. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious guidance. I thank you.
Thank you. Of course, people need to eat, but please, Honorable Member for Nakonde, put in an urgent question. Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and let me also join by welcoming you back to the chamber. Madam Speaker, the matter of urgent public importance I wish to raise is directed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations. Madam Speaker, the past 1 or 2 weeks, there has been destruction that has been left in the Republic of Malawi by the cyclone Freddy, which has left destruction both to infrastructure and human and animals, and also the loss of lives. Madam Speaker, I would want to find out from the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations, Zambia being a close neighbor to Malawi and sharing common values, especially the borders, as to whether there has been any Zambian life that has been lost in the lives that we have lost in Malawi, who could have been visiting that place during the cyclone, or who could have gone to do business that side during the cyclone. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, let me also salute the people of Zambia through the Republican President for acting swiftly to be the first country to take aid to the people, our brothers and sisters in Malawi. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. On that issue, I think there were some reports. I don't know, maybe the VP can indicate if there is any Zambian that died in Malawi. I saw some.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As far as government is concerned and the reports coming from Malawi and even from Mozambique, none of our people has died out of this calamity. Indeed, some have been affected, not death, affected, and our Zambian people and the Malawian government are continuously updating us, but nobody has died as far as we know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recall that I saw some statement in the press about that. So nobody has died. So we thank God for that. But we sympathize with the people of Mozambique and Malawi for the catastrophe that befell them. The Honorable Member for Minirunga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I wish to appreciation from members of Parliament for Pan-African Parliament to the government of the Republic of Zambia for coming to the aid of the people of Malawi. Madam Speaker, the people of Minirunga are experiencing hunger in the midst of maize that is rotting in the FRA depots. Is the Minister of Agriculture willing to instruct FRA to sell the maize that is rotting, that is about to rot to the people of Minirunga so that we can stop this roaming hunger in the district and the constituency? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As I said, the hunger, people need to eat, but of course that question does not arise as a matter of urgent public importance. Honorable Member for Minirunga, you are advised to put in an urgent question which can be addressed by the Minister. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and welcome back. The matter I wish to raise is towards the Minister of Infrastructure.
Proceed, Honorable Member. What's the matter of urgent public importance?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Cyclone Freddy, which is in Malawi, is affecting our constituency Lundazi, such that Mwase Bridge is halfway broken, and we risk Kambale Bridge and Chimtulu Bridge as well. I have forwarded the happenings at the bridge right now to the Minister of Infrastructure. If nothing is done, Madam Speaker, the people of Lundazi will be cut off from the rest into the Boma. I seek your indulgence.
I've seen the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure. Maybe you can just advise us on that issue. I understand you've been in communication with the Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have spoken on this particular bridge a few days ago, and indeed, even this afternoon we have spoken, where she has reported that there is washaway. I have promised her that we'll send the RDA regional manager to site to assess the damage and what can be done. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Lundazi, there is an assurance there that something is being done, so the government is aware and there is no need to raise it as a matter of urgent public importance. What's the question, Honorable Member for Shiwangandu?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Minister for Green Economy came to this August House and updated us about this Cyclone Freddy. And during his update, indicated the countries which were going to be affected. Malawi, Zambia, and he mentioned parts of Zambia that were going to be affected. And so when you hear concerns coming from Lundazi about the bridges that are almost getting washed away, it's the same between Shiwangandu and Chama. There's a bridge that is almost collapsing. Maybe what will be required, since it's one government and we were elected in advance, we would just want to know what contingency measures are being put in place, Madam Speaker, to address some of these threats to our people following this Cyclone Freddy. Because what happened in Malawi could basically happen here not long from now, if there could be that assurance from the executive, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture, I now don't know whether it's the Minister from Green Economy or the Minister of Agriculture who is going to answer. Probably the Minister of Green Economy and Environment.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Kampyongo. Indeed, as stated during the update on Tropical Storm Freddy, that it will affect certain parts of Zambia. That has come to pass. The remnants from Tropical Storm Freddy, which dissipated much more in Malawi, where there was a lot of devastation, has also devastated some parts, in particular Chama. And during that update, as I'm going to update the House now, that my ministry, working with DMMU, under the Vice President's office, has indeed put in the necessary measures. Even as we speak right now, DMMU is on the ground. I think the Vice President's office, with ourselves, are very, very well prepared to ensure that the necessary measures are taken. Further, Madam Speaker, it would be gratifying for my Honorable Member of Parliament to note that on the infrastructure side, the Minister of Infrastructure, Honorable Milupi here, has also sent a team there. I don't know whether it has arrived now. Sent a team there to ensure that there is a complete assessment of infrastructure damage. Further, government has formed a technical committee to look at the various infrastructure, particularly the roads and the dams, because there's a lot of dams which have been destroyed as a result of Tropical Storm Freddy. So in short, Madam Speaker, speaking on behalf of DMMU and the Vice President, who we work very closely with, the Minister of Infrastructure, and I should add the Minister of Water and Sanitation and the Minister of Health, because when there's flooding, there's a lot of waterborne diseases. Comprehensively, a multi-sectoral approach has been put in place to ensure that what Honorable Kampyongo has raised is taken care of. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much for that explanation. The next matter of urgent public importance is being raised by the Honorable Member for Mansa Central.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Sunday, driving along Chikwa Road towards Atsababa Drive, my attention was drawn towards the outer lane where a number of vehicles were parked and motorists and pedestrians were surrounding a young man who was convulsing violently on the road. The young man had collapsed, and being a doctor I am, I could not bypass the patient, and I stopped by to assist in the response. Madam Speaker, I led the response, and in a few minutes, the young man regained consciousness and told his story. And his story was that he was an epileptic who was on daily medication, but he had missed medication for 5 days because he had run out of medicine and he had no money to buy from a pharmacy. He had a prescription from a public health institution. Madam Speaker, the patient collapsed while walking from Levi Wanawasa to John Lengi on a busy artery, and the gallant citizens, the drivers and the motorists and the pedestrians managed to support the patient. Madam Speaker, I raised this matter of urgent public importance on the Minister of Health. There are many other epileptics in the country who could be convulsing and falling into fires on the road, into water, and probably don't get our attention. Madam Speaker, the sanctity of life demands that we ensure drugs to treat all chronic disorders, including epilepsy, are on the shelves. For how long are we going to neglect the persistent outage of medicines in our public health facilities? Madam Speaker, this situation, allowed unabated, will result in more deaths or in more morbidity and possible deaths. I seek your indulgence.
I think the matter that has been raised relates to the issue of availability of medicines, which we did discuss in this House. Maybe the best honorable member is just put in an urgent question which can be the minister, so that maybe the honorable minister can go back and gather some more information. The honorable member from Ghana, thank you.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I rise on a matter of urgent public importance pursuant to 134. The last couple of days, Madam Speaker, from Friday last week, I've been under a lot of pressure from threats that have been made by truck drivers and the traveling public, including my people in my constituency in Nkana, over the announcement that was made Friday that the ministry, through RDA of infrastructure, had decided to cancel the tender for the construction of Chivuruma Road 6 months down the line. Madam Speaker, you have ruled twice before this House when I brought this matter, and the reason why you ruled that it is a matter that qualified to be treated urgently was because of constant reports of criminal activities on that stretch owing to the dilapidation of the road. And Madam Speaker, this House was promised through a statement by the Minister of Infrastructure that government was going to attend to that road. And down the line, Madam Speaker, action was taken, a tender was started, which has only been cancelled 6 months down the process. Madam Speaker, if this matter is not treated with the urgency it deserves, I can guarantee this House and the nation at large that the reports we used to receive of criminals taking advantage on that stretch will be double this time around, because the road has even deteriorated further. And if no action is taken, the rain season is coming very soon, the dilapidation will get worse. If by the threats of these drivers, Madam Speaker, the protest is staged, it will disrupt the normal business, and no normal people would stand to wait for that a disaster to happen. Is the Minister of Infrastructure, Madam Speaker, who I believe cannot join in having the propensity to lie in order to sit and not inform the public as to why RDA has cancelled that tender without the courtesy to inform the public as to why they've made that decision. I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I wouldn't underrate the Honorable Minister for running. He has run in sandy areas, so he must be very good at running. But the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, do you have anything to say to that?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The issue of the Chibuluma Road has been discussed. Just to assure the Honorable Member for Mkana that there is action being taken. There are many reasons why a tender may be cancelled. Among them is when the tendered prices are way above budget. And also tendered may not have met certain requirements. What I can assure the Honorable Member is today, maybe up to now, RDA board are in a meeting to resolve this particular situation. As to why the tender was cancelled and announced by RDA, that is purely administrative, just to ensure that the job can be done, but done within the costs that have been budgeted for. When the board have finished their meeting today, we shall know the direction. We are very, very conscious of the fact that this road needs to be done, and it will be done. And one of the reasons that delayed is the fact that we still have a rain season, and as soon as the rains are over, he will see that work will start on this particular road. It's only 70 kilometers anyway. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member for Nkana. You want to ask a question?
Madam Speaker, thank you for the response that has been given by the Minister of Infrastructure. What we do understand is when a tender is cancelled, it indicates or there's a possibility that the process may be restarted. With that seemingly an assurance from the Minister, it brings us to this fear now, Madam Speaker. It took over 5 months for that process up to the time it was cancelled last week. If another process is started, I don't know when, from the statement he has made or the response he has made, we are talking about 5-6 months from now. Madam Speaker, the rains don't wait for us, and works will never be done in the rain season. Can the Minister assure us, Madam Speaker, that these works are going to be done before the rain season, or they will continue even throughout the rain season? Because the fears is that the rains are about to set and the process may take that long and the rains will be here. I'd like to seek that to get that answer, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Ghana, if you want more details on that issue, I would advise that you put in a question, an urgent question. Because from what you are saying now, the matter is getting out of what the requirements or the criteria for admission of a matter of urgent public importance. It's now talking about cancellation of a tender which is administrative, and an administrative matter cannot be admitted in accordance with the Standing Order 135, 1C. So if you want a question, you can put in, he has assured Because why I admitted is because you were saying there was criminality and people are going to die, but the issue is the cancellation of the tender from what you were debating. So that's why I'm saying that is now has moved from a matter of urgent public importance to a matter or to an administrative matter, which you can put in an urgent matter of public importance. Please be guided accordingly. Honorable member for Kantanshi was the last one. No, we can't. I've advised the honorable member to put in a matter of urgent an urgent question. I've asked the honorable member to put in an urgent question. I'm sure you were listening when I was giving guidance. The honorable member for Kantanshi.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. I'm equally rising on Standing Order 135, directed to the leader of government business, who is our honored Vice President. Although, Madam Speaker, you have always ruled that the matters that we should bring on this, relating to the standing order should indicate the catastrophe that will happen. But it becomes difficult to put in a question, and I hope you'll be able to guide on this matter. Madam Speaker, the President of the Republic of Zambia moves at a very high cost when he travels, and usually he travels for Zambian government business, for the benefit of the growth of our economy, for the benefit of some of the issues that were being raised in relation to cost of living. He was recently in Qatar. The government has not issued any statement whatsoever on the floor of this House to tell us what the benefits will be because of that trip that the President made. Madam Speaker, furthermore, next week we'll be hosting the Democratic Summit, and it's going to attract a number of countries here, and Zambia will be on the spotlight. Again, the government is quiet, cannot share with us and the people of Zambia what will be the benefits, what will be the opportunities in the sideline meetings. Madam Speaker, you agree with me that the government has been very inconsistent in explaining to the people of Zambia, particularly making use of this floor of the House, so that we are able to be on the same page and appreciate what opportunities will come out of these visits for the benefit of every Zambian in this country. So, Madam Speaker, I'm seeking for your indulgence on this matter that I've directed to our honored Vice President, so that we can bring a rest to this. As you can hear from what I'm explaining, it's even difficult to raise a question. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The issue of the President traveling out or not traveling out has been raised before on the floor of this House. So if honorable member, you want to know the benefits that are being accrued to, and I think there was even a question that was asked, and the honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs did address the House on the benefits that accrue from these trips. But since you want to know more what has been accrued from the trip to Qatar and the conference that is going to be held, it's better you put in an urgent question and it will be addressed. That concludes our matters of urgent public importance. We make progress. Question for oral answer, understanding order 74. The honorable member for Chirubi.
208, Madam Speaker.
By prior arrangement, the honorable member for Chirubi is asking the question. The honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah, good answer. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The question was asked by Honorable Kalimi, who is a Member of Parliament for Chinsali. Sorry, Malore, on the way to Chinsali. And he's asking the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, A, when the construction of Mulema Sampa Health Post in Malore Parliamentary Constituency will be completed. B, what the cause of delay in completing the project is, and C, what the time frame for the completion of the outstanding works is. We answer as follows, Madam Speaker. The construction of Mulema Sampa Health Post in Malore Parliamentary Constituency in Mungwe District of Northern Province will be completed in the second quarter of 2023. B, the delay in completing the project was due to financial constraints. And C, the time frame for the completion of the outstanding works is estimated at 1 month. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, there is a lot of whispering and consulting, and we are not following the answers. For those honorable members who wish to consult, they can step out briefly to consult so that they don't interrupt the proceedings. Any supplementary questions? The honorable member for Chirubi, do you have any?
Madam Speaker, the people of Mulema Sampa can only access health facilities from where they are within the radius of 100 kilometers. And making follow-ups, maybe the minister should be aware that there was some money that the government sent to the provincial headquarters in Northern Province, and the building is at 85%. What is happening to the money that is now not channeled to the contractor to complete the 15% of the works that are remaining?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the Honorable Member for Chilubi for the follow-up question. The contractor there is Krambas General Dealers with a contract sum of 448,276 kwacha 95, and to date a total of 396,129.99 ngwe has been certified and paid to the contractor. The health post has been roofed, plastered, doors and window frames fitted. The remaining works on the construction of the health post is painting and glazing. I have already stated that this will be completed within the next quarter, and in fact, I specifically said within 1 month. So that means the money is available and the contractor is already on site. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Any supplementary question? Honorable Member for Chirubi, you have another one?
Madam Speaker, it's just a follow-up on what he has raised, linked to my first question. As far as I'm concerned, the contractor is not yet on site, and I wanted the minister to, I agree with him that the money has been sent, but it has not been channeled to the contractor to complete the works with the 15% LAFRI works. And the contractor, as by 4 days ago, was not on site. And the minister says the contractor is on site. Maybe when is the ministry willing to send people that can check and make sure that the contractor does money for value?
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, the commitment of government is that this building will be completed within the second quarter, and our information is the contractor is on site. If he's not on site, maybe he has better information. But there is no question of lack of funds for this particular work to complete it. The commitment of government is it will be completed, and we think that within April, by the end of April, it should be finished, but certainly within the first quarter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So there are no more further questions on this question, but just to state that the Honorable Member for Malole, we were together yesterday in Malole, so for him to have traveled back to be in time for the session, I think it was not possible, bearing in mind the conditions of the road. I wish him a safe trip as he drives back. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 209.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Mpundu, Member of Parliament for Chembe Parliamentary Constituency, is asking the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation the question in three parts. A, whether government has any plans to construct a water reticulation plant in Chembe district. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. A, yes, government has plans to construct a water reticulation plant in Chembe district. B, the contractor is on site and works commenced during the fourth quarter of 2022. Madam Speaker, one borehole has since been drilled successively so far, and the contractor has concluded procuring the remaining materials for the reticulation system. And C, Madam Speaker, has already indicated that A, above, government has plans to construct a water reticulation plant in Chembe district. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? Any supplementary questions? I see none. Honorable Member for Chembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I want to find out from you, looking at Chembe where water is quite available, which you can tap from the river there, when are we going to graduate as Chembe district from boreholes to drawing water from the Luapula River, and then treat that water instead of every time it's boreholes? I want to know. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Member of Parliament for Chembe for that supplementary question. Madam Speaker, the question he asked me earlier was very specific as to whether we have plans to set up a water reticulation plant, which I've responded to. But in terms of whether we have plans to develop another abstraction plant from the Luapula River, that, Madam Speaker, can be assessed and determined by the population of Chembe, whether it requires that kind of resources and that kind of investment. So we can engage each other with the Member of Parliament just to appreciate the demand levels of water in that district. It must be appreciated, Madam Speaker, that Chembe is one of the newly established districts, and through that engagement, I think we can do a study to see if truly we need to increase the investment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. There's a call, Honorable Member for Chembe, to engage the Honorable Minister. Please take advantage of that for the benefit of the people of Chembe. We can make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member from Sanzala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 210.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament from Sanzala, Honorable Elias Daka, asked the following questions. A, when construction of the following infrastructure in Lusangazi district will commence? 1, a police station, and 2, staff houses. B, what the estimated cost of the project is. And C, what the estimated time frame for the completion of the project is. Madam Speaker, in responding to the questions raised by Honorable Daka, I wish to inform the House that government has plans to construct a modern Grade A police station and staff houses in Usangazi districts. The plans will be implemented when ongoing projects, which are at least 80% and above are completed, as well as when funds are made available. B, the current estimated cost of building a modern grade A police station and 95 housing units is 62 million kwacha. And C, the estimated time frame for constructing a modern police station and 95 housing units is 2 years. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? Honorable Member from Sanzara.
Thank you very much, Madam
Order, honorable members, there is too much noise. There is too much talking, both on my right and on my left. Please, can we reduce on the whispering? I don't know, is there something interesting that I missed? Honorable member from Sanzara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A follow-up question, Madam Speaker, is to the Minister. We asked that question in order for us as a district to plan if at all we can start constructing a small police post for our people, because if they lack even where they can keep our suspect and even where to work from. So I ask this question to be guided if at all this construction will be done now, or we can
Order, honorable members, order. Order, honorable members. There is no member who is supposed to give their back to the speaker when you are walking out, or even standing, giving your back towards the speaker. Please, can we go back to the rules and observe them? Sorry, honorable member from Sanzara, you were interrupted. Please. Yes, that's how we should be walking. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the guide. So my question is to the Minister of to find out if we can use part of what we have on CDF to construct a mini police post as we are waiting for your project. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to welcome the offer by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Musanzala to build a police post as we await the construction of a Grade A police station in Rusangazi. Madam Speaker, I would encourage you to proceed, and we'll be able to offer the drawings for a small police post.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is number 211. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Member of Parliament for Isoka, Ms. Nakaponda, asked the Minister of Education, A, whether the government has any plans to upgrade Chiwanda Primary School in Isoka district to a secondary school. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the government has no immediate plans to upgrade Chiwanda Primary School to a secondary school status. And B, due to response in Part A, that B falls off. And C, there are no such plans because government has opted to annexing a secondary school to the Chiwanda Primary School and has since started constructing a 1-by-2 classroom block which is at window level. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Chiwanda Primary School has rich historical attachment, as it is one of the oldest primary school in Isoka, where I, your Member of Parliament, had primary education from 1971 to 1977. Madam Speaker, this school is located in the central place, and it attracts the largest number of pupils and teachers. Madam Speaker, the school has vast space to highly be considered for upgrade in order to cater for deserving pupils. Honorable Minister, my question therefore is, why can't government consider upgrading Chwanda Primary School so that it can decongest the nearby day secondary school, such as Muchinga Day Secondary School, which has 1,500 pupils and receives learners from 5 highly enrolled primary schools. I submit, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Madam Speaker, I think I did indicate that instead of upgrading the school to a secondary school, we have annexed the building of a secondary school. As you rightly said, the school has a lot of land to annex a secondary school. So instead of us displacing more than 2,000 primary school learners, we would rather just annex another secondary school, which was started in 2015. It stopped, but I'm confident that the local authority has allocated funds to complete the project by the end of this year. So instead of us displacing more than 2,000 kids, we would rather just annex also the land which is plenty there. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, what assurance are you going to tell the people of Isoka so that they can be aware of that? I thank you.
For the Honorable Minister of Education.
Well, at the expense of repeating myself, it's just the same answer I gave. That was a big assurance in itself. Okay?
Okay, I'm sure the Honorable Member of Isoka has a head. No, but you have already exhausted. I'm sure you can engage the Honorable Minister when you have some time. Even at tea time, you can have a chat. The next question, the Honorable Member from Kaika.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 212.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. P.P. Mkaika, Parliamentary Constituency, to ask the Minister of Energy 2 questions. A, whether the government has any plans to rectify the following schools in Mkaika Parliamentary Constituency: Chimtende, Chinkombe, Mzime, and Lukweta. And question B, if so, when the plans will be implemented? Madam Speaker, the answer to A is yes. The government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Rural Electrification Authority, has plans to rectify the following schools in Mkaika Parliamentary Constituency: Chimtende, Chinkaombe, Mzime, and Lukweta. In 2019, feasibility studies were conducted to establish the scope of work for the electrification of the aforementioned schools. The studies revealed that the cost of the project is 67.2 million kwacha. The works involve the construction of a 72-kilometer high-tension overhead line from an existing 33 kV line, a 45-kilometer low-voltage network, and the installation of 15 transformers. The additional beneficiaries of the project include Pachulu Primary School, Warira Primary School, Makwenda Rural Health Center, and Munaula Rural Health Center and their surrounding communities. Answer to question B. The aforementioned schools are earmarked for electrification in 2024, which is next year, subject to availability of funds. I submit.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member from Kaika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, thank you so much for your response. Indeed, as you have said in your response, that feasibility studies were done in 2019. Now, from 2019 to date, I think some good 3 years have passed. When, Minister, are we likely to see works on the Chimtende schools and some surrounding areas? Thank you so much.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Since it has been indicated that the electrification of these schools will be done next year, I should be able to get back to the House or to the MP once the work plan is done for Rural Education Authority. Submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shuangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, taking advantage of this question from the Honorable Member from Kaika, I would like to know when the Honorable Minister of Energy will avail to us what you directed him to avail to us in terms of information regarding the rates, connection fees that our people in the rural areas will be paying, such as the people in Chimutende who are waiting to be connected to national grid. He promised that he was going to avail that information to us so that we can guide our people properly. What is the problem? The Honorable Minister is not coming back to us as he was directed. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister, I understand you promised to deliver the list of rates. I don't know, is there any challenge or is it something that can be done?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Looks like the time I was clarifying this situation, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Shiwangandu was not in the House. I had indicated to the House that ERB and RIAN ZESCO are looking at a system whereby the Rural Electrification Authority will be able to connect all the rural areas, and then ZESCO come and install a meter. The current estimate for a meter is only 1,400, and as such, if you pay 50% of that, which is 700, you'll be connected, and the balance of 700 will be spread over the 12 months. However, they are looking at a possibility that the connection fee will be added to the tariffs that ZESCO will be applying. I submit.
Thank you very much. So that is good news for the people. No Honorable Member for Shiwangandu, only one question per person. Honorable Member for Mukushi South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Honorable Minister, you indicated that this Chimutengo place will be connected subject to availability of funds.
A point of order is being raised. Honorable Member for Shiwangandu, what's the point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I remember very well when this matter was brought to the attention of the minister. He was responding to a question from the Honorable MP for Chifunavuli. And when I asked him to give us a structure, You remember at one point we had a contention where I was comparing.
Order, Honorable Member for Shuangandu. You are raising a point of order. What bridge has
Madam,
been
the
operated?
breach is pursuant to Standing Order 65 1B. The Honorable Minister, in his response, he almost insinuated that at the point he was making a clarification on this issue of tariffs and connection fees, I was absent in the House. Now I'm reminding him that I was present here, and at the end of your giving directives, it was agreed that he will give us a structure of connection fees applicable to the rural areas, just as we have seen the connection fees that they have published for the other consumers of electricity. So he had promised that he was going to give us a fee structure for that would be applicable to the rural areas. In responding to your directives, is it in order to change a position today and start giving figures which he didn't give on that particular day you directed him? Because he didn't have the information. That's why he promised that he was going to come back. I think you're serious ruling on this matter, Madam Speaker.
Now, that point of order appears to me to be a rebuttal of what the Honorable Minister was saying. I don't recall myself having given that directive. I don't know, maybe we can be assisted by the people that were in the House. Honorable Minister, did you give that undertaking? I can't remember guiding that or giving that directive. I don't know whether it was me or my deputies who were here. The Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I think it was last week when we made a ministerial statement on rural connection fees, where we clarified that we want to split the rural connection fees so that the RIA can connect, and ZESCO's job was just to come and slot in the meter. And this is what this is what was contained in the ministerial statement. Unfortunately, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Shinangando was not in the House. I submit.
Okay, that can only be proved by video evidence. So whether the Honorable Member was there, I think that is what under the bridge. Now, the Honorable Member for Mandevu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm just making a follow-up regarding the Minister's answer that the schools will be electrified next year, subject to availability of funds. I wish to find out from the Minister if he's able to confirm that his ministry will carry a budget to electrify these 4 schools next year. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, thank you for that question. I've indicated that RIA will come up with a work plan. Once they come up with a work plan, we'll be able to ascertain which months or dates when these schools will be electrified. As long as it has been indicated that they will be electrified next year, a program will be drawn towards that, to achieving that. Submit.
Honorable Member for Mukush South, I believe your question has been asked. I heard you asking a question, and then Honorable Member for Mandevu quickly took it out of your mouth. Honorable Member for Nakonde.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, taking advantage of what the Minister has told this House, I wanted to find out, because he has stated to say the rural connection fees will be split in two. 50%, yes, splitted. Split, yes, that is English. Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out if these rural connection fees, if the people of Chumtende are going to benefit from what the Minister has just stated, where they can pay now 700 and after connection 700 kwacha. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, as far as I know, Mukaika parliamentary constituency is in the rural area, and all rural areas will be connected by RIA. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mukushi South. Do you still want to ask a question? Oh, no. First, before Mukaika comes, the Honorable Member for, do you still want to ask a question? Okay, because I received a note that, well, was it Mukushi North? Did you indicate? You didn't indicate. Okay, somebody was trying to mislead me. Honorable Member for Mukaika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, according to the guidelines, CDF guidelines, where we are to give the RIA 1 million, do you think this money is enough to connect these areas such as my constituency? Because we really need power to these places. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In my response, Madam Speaker, I had indicated that the total cost is 67.2 million. Therefore, the 1 million that will be required to be collected from all constituencies will be aggregated and projects in selected areas will be embarked upon. Doesn't mean that when we collect 1 million from Mukaika constituency, it will go straight to Mukaika. Maybe this year it will go to Bangoelo. So we've drawn up a program which we are going to present once we finish on which areas and what type of projects will be included in this 1 million kwacha. I submit.
Thank you. Just for matters of purpose of clarification, that program will be, is it going to be distributed to the honorable members? Or that's the indication? So it will be distributed to the honorable members. We make progress. The next question will be asked by the honorable member for Milanzi by prior arrangement on behalf of the honorable member for Kasane.
From which constituency? Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 213.
The Honorable Minister of Energy. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Sorry, Madam Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Twasa, Kasenengwa District, to ask the Minister of Energy 2 questions. A, whether the government has any plans to connect the following health facilities in Kasenengwa District to the national electricity grid. And these areas are Chipembaulo Mini Hospital, Luona Mini Hospital, Kasenengwa Clinic, and Chizenje Clinic. B, question B, if so, when the plans will be implemented? Madam Speaker, the answer to question A is yes. The government of the Republic of Zambia, through the Rural Electrification Authority, has plans to rectify the following health facilities in Kasenengwa Parliamentary Constituency: Chipemba Ulo Mini Hospital, Luona Mini Hospital, Kasenengwa Clinic, and Chizenje Clinic. Feasibility studies of Kasenengwa Clinic and Chizenje Clinic have been undertaken to establish the scope of works for electrification. The estimated cost of the project is 12.4 million kwacha. The works involve the construction of a 7-kilometer high-tension overhead line from an existing 11 kV line, 10 kilometers of low-voltage network, and installation of 5 transformers. The additional beneficiaries of the project include Gundani Primary School, Luona Primary School, Kasuma Primary School, and Kasenengwa Primary School, while the feasibility studies of Chipemba Ulo and Luona Mini Hospitals are yet to be undertaken, since at the time the 2 health facilities were under construction. Answer to question B. The above health facilities are earmarked for electrification in 2024, subject to availability of funds. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, Honorable Member for Milanzi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for your response. Next year, is it first quarter, second quarter, which quarter?
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, according to the answer that was given, there were some schools or infrastructure that was not completed at the time. We need to establish whether these have been done so that they can be included in the work plan and scope of works, and then that's when we can give a definite time frame when these will be started on. Submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kafue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to find out from the Minister whether the funds he's indicating may be available for doing these works. I expected to come from CDF or from the Ministry's budget. I thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these funds will come from government as an allocation to the Rural Electrification Authority. Submit.
Honorable Member for Shuangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just to find out from the Honorable Minister whether the Honorable MP for Kasenengwa can be covered by the funds that local government has requested honorable members to apportion to RIA for rural electrification programs in various constituencies. Would the honorable member be covered? Could these areas be covered if he apportions that money from the CDF of 2023?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I thought you guided that once we have got a program of works, we'll be able to share the information with all the members of parliament so that they can know which areas will be prioritized and then which areas will be taken towards the end of the project. Submit.
Honorable Minister, the question was whether the Honorable Member for Kasanengwa will benefit from the money that will be apportioned from the CDF.
Thank you. I can't specifically say Kasenengwa will benefit immediately, but Kasenengwa is part of the overall project that we are going to look at. So probably Kasenengwa might stand out to be on top, and then the other areas will be covered later on. Submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member from Kaika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Minister, just your clarity where, don't you think that there will be, because what I see here is like you are saying that constituencies will pay money to RIA, and the RIA will decide whether to do some works into your constituency or not. Don't you think there will be some challenges, more especially when when it comes to auditing, Madam Speaker? Because I think that maybe the monies will not be used in my constituency this year. It will be used next year, and yet my constituency will show that we have paid to RIA 1 million. Don't you think there will be some misunderstanding on the same? Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Rural electrification is a national project, and that is why we asked for an additional 1 million from all constituencies. That way, we are going to accelerate, because the rural electrification had suffered, very low funding in the past. So we are trying to get to 51% connections by the year 2030. So we're in a hurry to provide electricity to our rural areas. I submit.
Only one question per honorable member. No. These points of orders are coming in as questions. I think you can engage the honorable minister. I think what the honorable member wanted to know was that, maybe if I can just say, what the honorable member wanted to know is that when the money is taken from the constituents fund and paid to RIA, and then if they do not benefit in that month, in that year where the money was paid to RIA, won't that raise audit queries? So that was the question. Maybe you can just try to clarify.
Yes, Madam Speaker, this money will be collected from local government as a lump sum. How it will be distributed would depend on the projects and costing of the whole projects. I submit.
Now, I don't know whether it will be on a rotational basis, or will it be on a rotational basis? Now I'm helping with the... Okay, maybe the honorable members are not yet clear on the whole process of this money. Maybe you can come back with some more information. Thank you. So let's make Musa, honorable member from Sanzal.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Although you have already ruled, but I wanted to get a clarity from the minister on which guidelines is he proposing that he is going to mop up all the money for RIA to, and which law are we going to base on that transfer or mopping up all the monies back into local government account? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I think the honorable minister will come back with more details on that issue. Next question, the honorable member for Milanzi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 214.
The honorable minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Milanzi asked the Minister of Technology and Science in A, whether the government has any plans to construct communication towers in the following wards in Milanzi parliamentary constituency. 1, Kapoche. 2, Kafumbwe. 3, Kaitule. 4, Chipambe, and 5, Chindalwe. And in B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, if there are no such plans, why? Madam Speaker, the response is as follows. In A, the government has plans to construct communication towers in all parts of the country, including Milanzi constituency, to ensure enhanced communication coverage to all unserved and underserved areas. Government will construct the Kautele Tower, which will be erected at Kautele Secondary School. This area has been surveyed and will be among the Phase 3 project earmarked to be constructed in the underserved and unserved communities in the financial year 2023. The Honourable Member of Parliament submitted 8 additional underserved areas which include Kapoche, Kafumbwe, Kapambe, and Chindalwe, which are being surveyed to determine an optimal location for population coverage in the constituency. In B, the implementation plan for Kautele Tower will commence in the second quarter of 2023. In the second quarter, Kapoche, Kafumbwe, Kapambwe, and Chandarwe will be surveyed respectively. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you very much. Again, there is more talking. Honorable Member for Karulush, what was the answer that the minister gave? Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your responses. Interacting with Zamtel, it would appear there is some gap between your ministry and Zamtel in the rollout of these communication towers. And to a larger extent, some of these towers are now becoming a challenge for Zamtel to service because of the low customer subscribers in some of these rural areas. And they are failing to break even in some situation. What policy are you coming up so that Zamtel on one hand is not negatively affected in terms of their cash flow, but also to ensure that our rural people are also, like the people in Senengwa, are given an opportunity to be connected to the rest of the country, because it's a very delicate balancing act you have to do. We would like to get it from you, because your committee on parastatals interacting with the Zamtel clearly found this very big challenge. So we would like to hear from you, Minister responsible for this sector, what policy is in place in order to strike this balance. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Science and Technology.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is not a policy challenge. It is the financial condition of Zamtel that is inhibiting Zamtel to undertake, in particular, the erection of communication tower, number one. Number two is that in a number of areas, we have got towers that have been erected, but the passive equipment have not been placed. So what we are doing from the government side, through ZICTA, is to be able to assist to put the passive equipment onto those towers that have been erected. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, may the Honorable Minister clarify. Zambians know by now that your government is good at making promises and not fulfilling them.
Order.
Are you assuring?
Order,
Because
honorable members. Let's allow the honorable member to ask his question. Honorable members, you ask, please. Let's learn to coexist with each other in peace. Let's not bring in matters that are going to attract acrimony. You may ask your question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, why I'm asking this question, we are all looking forward to this government providing these communication towers. We were asked.
Supplementary question, honorable member.
And in his response, he has indicated that before the end of the year, they are taking an inventory of where which areas are underserved. Are you assuring our people in that area and many other areas where your honorable members, Madam Speaker, have submitted that you will construct towers, or it will be usual just mere promise without delivery? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sure government and the honorable member for Chama South can confirm that one of the promises that we made to deliver CDF is a participant of that. So we are a government that delivers on promises. Madam Speaker, what we have done is that we did a desktop analysis which informed us where we can plant these towers. But in order to ensure that coverage is enhanced, we are currently undertaking a survey to confirm that analysis. This survey is being assisted by the input that the honorable members of parliament gave to us to ensure that these towers are planted in the correct places. That survey was slowed down because of the rain, and we think by the end of April, the survey would have been completed. In addition, Madam Speaker, this Friday would have closed for the first 31 towers that will start to be planted beginning April. And in the second quarter, we are going to do at least 100 towers to ensure connectivity, particularly to the unserved and underserved members of parliament and the members in their constituents. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Milanzi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I would want you to be very categorical. How many communication towers are you putting up in Milanzi constituency? People of Milanzi are looking forward to improved communication network, mobile network. So just how many? I would love to know the number. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, I did indicate that we are now on the ground carrying out the survey to inform where those towers will be planted. Our focus and the way we do it is not so much to plant a tower in a particular ward, but to be able to reach and ensure that we cover the people in the wards and in the constituents. So it is coverage rather than location that we are doing. I thank you.
Simplified is that it's not the number of towers, but the coverage. The minister is speaking in technical language. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm just worried because a good number of parliamentarians here, both on your left and your right, you find that the numbers they have, it's all 90% of us here, of them, because me, I'm on Zamtel. They're on Airtel. And the people are pushing so much to invest in these rural areas, in Milanzi. These are Zamtel towers, and people, it's Zamtel is going to be servicing those towers, Zamtel is going to be paying for electricity if there is any. If it's solar, it's Zamtel is going to be maintaining those power connectivity to the towers. Madam Speaker, the question to the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology. Since there's so much alignment with the business community, or us here, a good number of parliamentarians who are here, with Airtel, why don't you tell the same Airtel, other than pushing a cash, I don't know, they don't even have money, Zamtel, to continue putting up towers. When big guys are MTN and Airtel, they are shining away from those rural areas. Why don't you encourage even them to see that they should go to those rural areas? Because if you go to Milan's today, you find that the old Boma, they are using Airtel. in the rural areas are using Zamtel, why don't you encourage them to start going and invest in those areas so that the profit they are making in the cities, they can also share with the people in the rural areas? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, the towers that we are talking about are not being constructed by Zamtel. These towers will be constructed through ZICTAM under the Universal Access Fund, which is a government fund. So it has no impact on Zamtel. Number two, as part of the licensing conditions, all the telecom operators have an obligation to erect communication towers in the underserved and unserved areas. So Airtel, MTN, as part of this condition, will also be compelled to erect towers, including in Milanzi. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mukushi South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, between 2011 and 2021, there was a program where Zamtel did towers in all the chiefdoms. Now these towers, they have short coverage. Recently you requested us to submit the areas of our interest in our constituencies where we are coming, where we feel we need to have towers. Why don't we increase the coverage areas as compared to elect new towers? You just improve on the existing towers so that you increase on the coverage distance. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you for that question. The strategy is two-pronged. One is upgrading the active system on the towers that are already existing to increase coverage. Number two, where the gaps continue to exist, then we erect towers. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and welcome back. Madam Speaker, while you were away, oh, sorry. Honorable Minister, while you were away, Madam Speaker, some of your members were sulking. Honorable Minister, the people of Luena are paying attention once they heard that we are talking about towers. And we are aware that ZICTA has been going around taking coordinates for purposes of fixing or placing towers in those areas. And the question they have is simply, how soon are these ZICTA towers going to be constructed? I know that the people of Nangola Ward, in fact, I told them 2 weeks ago that it will be constructed in the next 3 months. Would you please confirm that it will be there before the end of the year? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As we stand, I think we have finished approximately 8 provinces. We have got 4 to go in terms of getting the coordinates. So once we have gotten the coordinates, the next thing is that those coordinates will now inform, one, the location of the tower, and number two, the specification required for the specific tower to be planted. Once we have that information, Madam Speaker, we'll then advertise, and we have confirmed that in the second quarter, we are going to plant at least 100 towers. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Nyimba, you had already asked. You want to ask again? No, I'm just... Okay, point of order on who?
On the minister, Madam Speaker.
What's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, I know my elder brother comes from Lunte. I don't know, he says they have done eight provinces, remaining with 4. But I think Zambia will have 10 provinces, so I don't know the extra constituencies which they have come. This is the extra 2 provinces where they have come. This is pursuant to Article 65 of our standing orders. Thank you.
Maybe he's talking in anticipation. But of course, there are 10 provinces. Maybe it was a slip of the tongue. The last people to ask questions will be 3. There will be Msanzala, Lundazi, and Iteshiteshi. And that will be the end. I think we have taken a lot of time on this question. Honorable Member from Msanzala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, you told this House that it is not the number of towers that you construct in Milanzi. Now, I wanted to find out what will be the coverage for the tower that you construct in Chindwari area. Thank you.
Honorable Minister of Technology and Science, although that is very specific, I don't know if you'll be able to provide.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and also want to remind my colleague, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Nyimba, that it was deliberate to ensure that he remains awake in Parliament. Madam Speaker, in terms of coverage, it's a technical question, but on average, it's a 10-kilometer radius. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving us a chance to ask the follow-up question to the Minister of Technology. Minister of Technology, last week, your team was in Lundazi. They were doing some assessments, and I had a chance to speak to them. They openly told me that they cannot go and plant a tower closer to the border lines because they didn't want to be servicing the Malawi side. This is a borderline, and I know even Milanzi is also bordering Mozambique. My question to you, Honorable Minister, is does that mean the people who live near the borderline will never have Zambian network? I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sure my team and the Honorable Member of Parliament were having a productive conversation. We shall provide a technical solution. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Iteshiteji.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to ask the Minister. Minister, for the new towers that we are planting across the country, are you giving us an assurance that you will no longer have 2G and 3G? All the new towers, they will be based on the 4G and 5G so that there is true realization of a digital transformation. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam Speaker, our goal is continuous improvement and upgrade. We ensure that we continue on that path of 4G. We are now also working on 5G. So I can assure you that we are going to have 4G upwards. Thank you.
Thank you. We move to the next item, presentation of government bill, the Honorable Minister of Green Economy and Environment. Government Chief Whip, where is the Honorable Minister? Thank you. Madam Speaker, I beg to present a bill entitled the Environmental Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2023. The objects of the bill are to A, revise the functions of the Zambia Environmental Management Agency. B, harmonize the provisions relating to solid waste management with the Solid Waste Regulation and Management Act 2018. C, domesticate the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer. D, provide the registration of pesticides or toxic substances. E, revise the provision on summary imposition of penalties. And F, provide for matters connected or incidental to the foregoing.
Thank you. Let the bill be read the first time.
The Environmental Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2023.
The bill stands referred to the Committee on Energy, Water Development and Tourism. The committee is required to submit its report on the bill to the House in due course. Honorable members who wish to make submissions on the bill are free to do so within the program of work of the committee. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
The Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022, second reading.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be now read a second time.
The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Any debate? The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, Zambia enacted the Anti-Terrorism Act number 21 of 2007 to criminalize acts of terrorism and their associated crimes. This act alone was not adequate to deal with the emerging threat. As such, according to the United Nations and the Financial Action Task Force, a dedicated body was needed to enforce the act. This body would deal with the threat of terrorism and associated crimes such as terrorist financing. The 2007 Act was then amended by the Anti-Terrorism Amendment Act number 2 of 2015, which established the National Anti-Terrorism Center, which was operationalized in February 2017. The Anti-Terrorism Amendment Act number 2 of 2015 was repealed and replaced by Act number 6 of 2018, known as the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Act, which provided for proliferation offenses. It is said that the Act has undergone some amendments, now being referred to as the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Bill, number 32 of 2022. Madam Speaker, Zambia is a member of the Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group, a regional body subscribing to global standards to combat money laundering and financing of terrorism and proliferation. All ASAMLAG member countries are subjected to regular reviews of different pieces of legislation for technical compliance and effectiveness. Member countries convene twice every year to discuss matters pertaining to assessments conducted and reviews are given. In June 2019, a SAMLAG completed its assessment of Zambia's anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist and proliferation financing system. The mutual evaluation report of Zambia comprehensively reviewed the effectiveness of Zambia's measures and their levels of compliance with the TAF recommendation and noted some deficiencies. In addition, in March 2022, Zambia received a follow-up report in which other deficiencies in the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Act number 6 of 2018 were identified. Further, more deficiencies were noted during the operations and investigations conducted by the Center. This necessitated the review and amendment of some provisions now contained in the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Bill number 32 of 2022. Madam Speaker, the object of this bill is to amend the Anti-Terrorism and Proliferation Act number of 2018 so as to A, revise some existing definitions and insert new definitions that have been used. B, revise the provisions relating to the administration of the center. C, revise some of the offenses for purposes of enhancing implementation of the Act. And D, provide for matters connected with or incidental to the foregoing. Madam, the National Anti-Terrorism Center, during the course of conducting operations and intelligence gathering and conforming to the legal mandate, did note some gaps with regard to enforcement of some provisions in the law, which necessitated some amendments. Further, the SAMLAG, after assessment of Zambia's counter-terrorism law, recommended improvement of the counter-terrorism legislation to address the weaknesses observed. Madam Speaker, amending the Act will strengthen its administration and make the country compliant to regional and global best practices. The amendment will make the legislation conform to United Nations Security Council resolutions 1267 and 1373. This will enhance Zambia's counter-terrorism regime as well as make it compliant to international and regional standards. Madam Speaker, if our counter-terrorism legislation is not enhanced, the country faces the risk of being rated as non-compliant to the Financial Ask Task Force, FATF, recommendations and standards espoused by the Eastern and Southern Africa anti-money laundering group. This status may have adverse implications, as well as attract sanctions, including Zambia being rated as a high terrorist risk jurisdiction. This will make the country unattractive for investment. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I urge all honorable members of this August House to support the bill. The amendments contained in the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Bill number 32 of 2022 herein are progressive and will contribute to building of capacity at the National Anti-Terrorism Center with regard to the center's legal mandate, functions, operations, and intelligence gathering. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you. The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Any further debate? The chairperson of the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Member for Kaoma Central.
Madam Speaker, the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs was tasked to scrutinize the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022. In order to appreciate the ramifications of the bill, the committee thought both written and oral submissions from stakeholders. Madam Speaker, as this House is already aware, the Anti-Terrorism and the Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022, seeks to amend the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Act number 6 of 2018 in order to strengthen the offenses which relate to terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation, and proliferation financing. The bill also seeks to amend the Principal Act in order to bring it in conformity with the regional standards in combating terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation, and proliferation financing. Madam Speaker, Zambia is a member country of the Financial Action Task Force FATF styled group, which is called the Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group, a SIMLAG. Madam, by being a member to this group, all member countries are subjected to regular reviews of different pieces of legislation for technical compliance and effectiveness. In addition, member countries are required to convene twice every year to discuss matters pertaining to assessments conducted, and the reviews are given. In line with the above, therefore, in March 2022, Zambia received a follow-up report in which additional deficiencies in the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Act number 6 of 2018 were identified, as well as other deficiencies noted during the operations and investigations conducted by the National Anti-Terrorism Center. Madam Speaker, it is this outcome which has necessitated the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022. Madam Speaker, let me state that the committee is in support of the bill. Similarly, stakeholders who appeared before the committee supported most of the proposed amendments and pointed out that the government needed to amend the act in order to bring the anti-terrorism bill in conformity with the regional standards of combating terrorism, terrorism financing, proliferation, and proliferation financing. Madam Speaker, let me mention that in supporting the bill, stakeholders also raised some concerns, and these are recorded in the committee's report, which I'm sure members have gone through. One of the concerns relates to the amendment of Section 2 of the Principal Act under Clause 2. The committee observes that the definitions therein do not include the definitions of supervisory authority and competent authority, as it is contained in the Financial Intelligence Center Act number 11 of 2022. The committee is aware that the definitions will be useful for purposes of dissemination and implementation of targeted financial sanctions which are contained in Part 5 of the bill. In this regard, therefore, Madam Speaker, the committee recommends that the definitions of supervisory authority and competent authority should be inserted in line with the definitions under the Financial Intelligence Center Act number 11 of 2022. Madam Speaker, Clause 7.4 states that an anti-terrorism officer may, on production of an identity card or a certificate of appointment issued under subsection 2, demand the production of and inspect or make copies of any documents of financial accounts kept by a person. The committee is, however, concerned that this might lead to an abuse of such power. In this regard, the committee recommends that sufficient mechanisms should be put in place to ensure that such power is regulated. There is further need for the provision to highlight circumstances that will require obtaining a warrant for such a search to avoid creating weaknesses in the law, which may lead to loss of documents or financial accounts in question. Madam Speaker, the bill under Clause 9 seeks to amend Section 18 of the Principal Act by deleting subsection 1 and replacing it with a provision that allows the freezing of funds for a terrorist organization. Madam, this is a progressive amendment. However, the committee is of the view that the freezing of funds by the reporting entity should be done through a court order and not upon a mere notification. In this regard, therefore, the committee recommends that the proposed amendment under Clause 9 should provide for freezing of funds, and the reporting entity should do so through a court order and not on mere notification. Further, the committee recommends that the contravention of the court order should constitute an offense which should attract a penalty as contained under Section 18.2. Madam Speaker, Clause 10 of the bill proposes subsection 24, which states as follows, and I quote, "A person is considered to have committed an offense of terrorism financing or preparation financing whether or not the funds or assets belonging to that person were used to commit a terrorist act or preparation or linked to a specific terrorism act," end of quote. Madam, the committee observes that this subsection will lead to a situation where any person with funds or assets can be considered to have committed an offense of terrorism financing and preparation financing, which should not be the case. In this regard, the committee recommends that subsection 24 be amended by adding elements of intention or knowledge by the person that their funds or assets are to be used for terrorism financing. In this vein, Madam Speaker, the offense of terrorism financing or preparation financing will then apply to the person who intends or knows that their funds or assets are to be used to commit a terrorist act. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, allow me to render my sincere gratitude to you and the Clerk of the National Assembly and the staff for the guidance and support services rendered to the committee throughout the deliberations. I also wish to place on record, Madam Speaker, the appreciation of the committee to all stakeholders who made submission to the committee with regard to the bill. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate? Honorable Member for Shuangando.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for allowing me a bit of time to make a few comments in support of the amendments being proposed to the anti-terrorism financing and proliferation financing. Madam Speaker, indeed, this is a consequential amendment following the mutual assessment which the Honourable Minister referred to, which periodically done by the teams that dispatched by SAMLAG, to which Zambia belongs to. And I would like to just urge the Honourable Minister to ensure that matching resources are put into the anti-terrorism center and ensure that the collaboration between the Anti-Terrorism Center and the Financial Intelligence Center is enhanced, just as the committee is proposing to ensure that the two pieces of legislation speak to each other. It should be the same even in sharing of information, and only through that will the concerns of the committee be addressed with this issue of anti-terrorism officers who are now being given a mandate to equally conduct searches and do confiscation and seizing of accounts. The Financial Intelligence Center is well pressed, and I think they've been working very well with financial institutions in monitoring the movement of funds, including illicit funds that may end up in the activities of supporting the proliferation financing. So, Honorable Minister, it shouldn't just be for us to be compliant with the requirements of this SMLAG and the task force, but we must also be proactive in ensuring that as we set up these units, they are practically supported. I'm sure by now you have gotten to understand the challenges that have surrounded the operationalization of the Anti-Terrorism Center. So it will be prudent for you to make sure that as we revise the pieces of legislation, we also ensure that we capacitate this center in order for it to keep this country prepared to react to any terrorist attack or whatever could happen in that regard. Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I support the bill.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, winding up debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to sincerely thank the committee for the able manner they handled the bill that was tabled before them. We will take into account the recommendations that they have made to my ministry. I also wish to appreciate the debate of the Honorable Member of Parliament for Shiawangandu. Please note that we appreciate the sentiments you have made. We shall take into account the issues you have raised. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As the time is 16:40, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Business has been suspended for 20 minutes for that healthy break. And at the time business was suspended, the House was considering the Anti-Terrorism Non-Proliferation Bill. That's the National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022, which came up at second reading, and the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jack Mwimbo, has just concluded winding up the debate on the motion. So, Matimba, let's quickly look at what has been considered on the floor of the House and yet to be considered.
Yes, President, when business resumed at 14:30 hours, there was an announcement by Madam Speaker. She informed the House that the National Assembly of Zambia Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026, which was approved in 2022, will be launched on Wednesday, 22nd March 2023. And so the launch will take place in the auditorium here at Main Parliament buildings at 09 hours. And therefore, honorable members are invited to the launch and should be seated by 8:45 hours.
The House has also considered the bill, one bill which was presented by the Minister of Green Economy and Environment, and in this case it was Her Honor the Vice President who presented on behalf of the Minister of Green Economy and Environment. And this bill is the Environmental Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2023. We did see Her Honor presenting this bill and also presented the object of the bill, and this bill has since been referred to the Committee on energy and water development and tourism, and it will be submitted to the House in due course. So basically that's what has been considered on the floor of the House. Let's quickly look at what is yet to be considered on the floor of the House. We know that there was a question that was being considered on the floor of the House last week on Friday, Matimba. The detail of that question.
And so this is question for oral answer understanding order 74 question 207. And so when business was interrupted on Friday on the floor of the House was Speaker, okay, Member of Parliament, Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda. And so for now we go on a break. We urge you to stay right here on the Parliament television, even as we continue bringing Parliament closer to you. Good afternoon.
Christopher Shagavuswa was born in the 80s, 82 in particular. Married with 3 children. I actually had 4. One died. Married to Siwongile Mukua. I'm born from my father is Honorable Jonas Shagafuswa, who was a member of Parliament for Katuba, and my mother being Patricia Chileshe Shimeo. So I'm the firstborn on both sides. My parents didn't get married. I think they had me, yes, when they were quite young, actually. I think they were 16. Yeah. So I'm actually the Member of Parliament for Mandevu constituency. I served the people of Mpulungu Ward from 2011 to 2016 as area councillor. They re-elected me again as area councillor from 2016 up to 2021, which period I was privileged to serve the people of Lusaka as deputy mayor from 2019 to 2021. And so when we went to the general elections in 2021, I applied to stand for the position of Member of Parliament for Mandevu constituency. And I was elected with an overwhelming victory. I started my primary school at Old Kabanana Primary School, after which I went to Rhodes Park School, Kablonga School for Boys, where I did my junior secondary school. Thereafter, I proceeded to do my senior secondary school at David Kaunda Technical High School. I hold an advanced diploma in business administration, ABE, from the I did that from ZBIC, and I proceeded to do a Bachelor of Business Studies at ZICAS in collaboration with the University of Greenwich. Mandevu constituency is a peri-urban constituency with 8 wards. In terms of population, Mandevu constituency is actually the second largest constituency in Zambia, not by size, but by population. According to the 2019 random survey, the population of Mandevu constituency stood at 459,929. So we are here to get the results from the census that was done, and I think we may go to the top. Right now, the largest in terms of population is Kanyama, and because of our huge population, we have a lot of challenges in terms of road infrastructure. We have challenges in health. We only have one level 1 hospital and 11 health posts which close at 16 hours. And so after 16 hours, this population I'm talking about all have to be attended from Chipata level 1 and they have to, if Chipata level 1 is filled, they have to go to our neighboring hospitals. We have challenges in education, again, because of our huge population. We only have seven secondary schools and 10 primary schools, which are not enough to cater for the huge population in the constituency. As you may know, youths today stand at 37.5 percent, and so because of this huge population, our schools are not able to assimilate the huge number of demand for education services. We have challenges again in water and sanitation. I have wards like Justin Kabwe, where we have a sewer system and the other part does not have a sewer system. We have water reticulation challenges in Pulungu ward, Kabanana ward, Roma, and the other parts of Mandevu. The water supply by Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company is not sufficient. They've been rationing the water. Sometimes our people have water this day, the following day they don't have. And so these are the challenges that Mandevu constituency has. In terms of wards, like I said, there are 8. We have on the western side, we have Chaisa, Rafael Chota, Mpulungu ward, Ngwerere, and Mulungushi on the middle. On the other side, the east, we are bordered with Chongwe. This is Ngombe, it's called Roma ward. We have Kabanana, Rafael Chota ward. And so these are the 8 wards that make up Mandevu constituency. My developmental agenda, as you may be aware, the role of Member of Parliament is to lobby the government to bring development. Of course, we have CDF that has been increased from 1.6 to 25.7, and subsequently in the year 2023, the same has been proposed to be increased to 28.3 million. I must say that because of our huge population, this money is actually a drop in the ocean. I can tell you that just this year we asked for projects, community projects, out of the budget of 13 million in the current CDF. We received project proposals exceeding 90 million kwacha. Youth and empowerment, the budget is about 1.9, and when we called for project proposals, applications, we received applications exceeding 14 million kwacha. And so you see, it tells you that we lack, very far in terms of development, and our poverty levels are quite high. Mandevu constituency is peri-urban, meaning that some parts are planned and the larger area is unplanned. And so we want to work together with the government. I think the budget pronunciation is good, and our prayer is that the Ministry of Local Government should consider doing some roads in Mandevu constituency. In terms of education, I know that 23 billion has been allocated to the education function. 1.5 billion will be for construction and rehabilitation of schools, and also there we ask the Ministry of Education to consider at least building one secondary school for the people of Mandevu. Currently, we only have 7 secondary schools, and some of these have just been upgraded, meaning that they don't have matching infrastructure. And so we call upon the Ministry of Education to consider the people of Mandevu by building more schools to educate our young children. We want to call upon the Minister of Health, the Ministry of Health. You see, they need to match the pronouncements The implementation for the health budget should be done prudently, and the ministry must expedite the procurement of drugs so that our people could access proper health. Water and sanitation, again, we intend to work with the government. I know that our colleagues on the western side, Matero, have been mentioned to be, beneficiaries of this money, and so we are also calling upon the government to come in and, connect Raphael Chota, Mpulungwad, Kabanana, and Romawad. We have the Foxdale community here who don't have water, and so we have the nearest connection from Independence Hills there. So if Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company could be given money to lay pipes and connect the Kafue bulk project to Mandevu, that will go a long way in giving our people safe, clean drinking water. So that is our developmental agenda. We will build a number of 1x3 classroom block in various wards. We intend to build maternity wings for all the health centers that are dotted around the constituency. Of course, we agree with the presidential pronouncement that no pupil must sit on the floor while CDF has been provided, and so we work with the WDCs, the councillors, to procure desks for all the government schools, and when we're done, we also intend to procure desks for some of the community schools who are also, supplementing government efforts in providing education to our vulnerable children. So the empowerment budget, again, we're just from giving out empowerment funds to our youths, women, and cooperatives. Oh, well, my last word to the people in the constituency is that Mandevu has a very huge population. As area member of parliament, I note and acknowledge the problems that we have in the constituency. However, solutions cannot only be done by the member of parliament. It therefore calls that I work together with the government, who are mandated actually to bring development to the people of Mandevu. So I'm calling on the people of Mandevu to be stakeholders. Some of the comments that they pass sometimes are quite unfortunate, because they need to distinguish the roles of the member of parliament, they need to distinguish the roles of central government, and of course Ubuteko Wawukaya, which is the local government. The local government through the Lusaka City Council, where we have 38 councillors, and in Mandevu 8 councillors, equally have a role to provide services for the people in our communities. And so if we're going to put our hands together, then most definitely come 2026 we would have at least achieved some levels of significant development in our area.
for still staying with us on Parliament Television. Business still on the 20 minutes health break, and at the time business was suspended for that healthy break. The House was considering the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32, which came up at second reading. And the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jack Mwimbu, has just finished winding up debate. So let's quickly look at what has been considered on the floor of the House.
Yes, President, earlier on we had an announcement by Madam Speaker. She informed the House that the National Assembly of Zambia Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026, which was approved in 2022, will be launched on Wednesday, 22nd March 2023. And so the launch will take place in the auditorium here at Main Parliament buildings at 09 hours. And therefore, honorable members are invited to the launch and should be seated by 08:45 hours.
So in business resumes, the House will continue considering the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022, which came up at second reading. The House did also consider the Environmental Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2023, and it was our honor, the Vice President, who presented this bill.
And still to come, there will be resumption of consideration of question for oral answer under Standing Order 74, question number 207. And so when business was interrupted on Friday, 17th March 2023, on the floor of the House was Peter Oke, Member of Parliament, Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda. And so when the House, when there will be resumption of this question, he will continue where he stopped.
So far, the House has considered 7 questions for oral answer under Standing Order 74, and these are questions of ordinary nature, and the House did not 3 questions for written answer under Standing Order 75. So shortly we'll have business resumes, and as you can see on the screens, that's members of Parliament just chatting as they wait for the resumption of debate. Like my colleague mentioned, we still have question for oral answer understanding order 74, and that's question 207, which came up for consideration last week on Friday, the 17th March 2020. And at the time business was interrupted for adjournment, it was Peter Oke, Member of Parliament, Mr. Emmanuel Banda, MP, who was on the floor of the House debating.
And so some of the questions that have been considered are question 208, which came from Malola, Member of Parliament, Mr. Kalimi, and he directed his question to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. He wanted to find out when the construction of the Mlema Sampa Health Post in Malole Parliamentary Constituency will be completed, and in B, what the cause of the delay in completing the project is, and in C, what the time frame for the completion of the outstanding work is. And so the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development did respond to those 3 questions. He responded to the A part of the question as the construction will be in the second quarter of 2023. And so just now, we take you to the floor of the House.
Madam Speaker.
Can we settle down, members? Can we settle down? When business was suspended, the House was considering the second reading stage of the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022, and the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security had just finished winding up debate. The question is, I put the question is that the bill be now read a second time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Let the bill be read a second time.
The Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022.
Committee stage to be taken when? Government Chief Whip, committee stage to be taken when?
Next week, Madam Speaker. It's Tuesday, Madam Speaker. Next Tuesday.
Committee stage to be taken next week on Tuesday. Next order.
Question for oral answer under Standing Order 74. Question 207 of 17th March. Resumption of consideration of question.
Order. When business was interrupted on Friday, 17th March 2023, the House was considering question number 207 on the order paper asked by the Honorable Member for Chama North, and the Honorable Member for Muchinga was asking a supplementary question. May the Honorable Member continue. It appears the Honorable Member for is not here. Any supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Minister, in his response, was saying that the government hasn't got plans to establish or reopen the cotton ginnery in Chama. But he said that there were some discussions with the investor because that ginnery was run by Bichard. And at least it is to employ more than 200 people in Chama there. So, Minister, if you are in talk with that management, what is the discussion you are having with Bichard promising so that as quickly as possible we can reopen that cotton ginnery, because Chama produces a lot of cotton, first grade cotton actually. So the reopening of that particular company will provide job opportunities. So when do you think the same can be realized? I submit.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that question. Indeed, we have a private investor in Chama who has been running that ginnery, and due to some challenges the private investor was facing, he decided to go on break. And the assurance is that we are in talks with the investor to make sure that the ginnery is repaired to continue servicing Chama district. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I think I'm yet to learn if he, at all, that ginnery has ever run, because in his response he's saying the investor opened the ginnery, it's more like it operated for some time, but that ginnery, in my understanding, they just assembled it, then it was abandoned. It has never operated. Should the investor not show interest, Honorable Minister, would you be in a position to look for others or go into negotiations so that others can take up that generally, considering that, Madam Speaker, almost, if not 80% of the cotton that you see coming through the Great East Road comes from Chama. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Livestock and Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Indeed, sometimes people would want to anticipate in the event that the investor fails to repair the ginnery, what happens? Currently, as I'm talking to you, Chama district is being serviced by Parrogate and Mount Meru are the ones who are buying the cotton from our farmers. But as government, like we have been assuring, is that our role is to continue creating conducive environment for our investors to invest in where we believe that we have got potential. A district such as Chama would not want to disappoint our farmers there. Our job is to create conducive environment for private sector also to engage into developing our country. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Petauke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke to ask a follow-up question from the Acting Minister of Agriculture. The Minister. Yeah.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture is in the House. Your question is being addressed to the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you for your guidance, Madam Speaker. Minister of Livestock, but last week, no, it's another week. Minister of Livestock, Chama has got farmers. Most of them, they plant cotton compared to maize. And the farmers for maize, a lot of them, they have been helped by the government. Are you thinking in the same line to also those farmers for cotton? Maybe you can engage FRI so that they can be buying, because most of them, they lack transportation as the roads in Chama are bad. Would you think in those lines so that FRI can buy and then government can transport to private sector? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The question the Honorable Member has posed really very difficult to understand, because the issues to do with maize is a program for food reserve agents. And we are not...
Sorry, Honorable Minister, there's an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member for Shuangandu, what's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, it's a very serious procedural point of order on the executive. The procedure is, when a minister is acting on behalf of another and not in the House, the moment that minister comes back to the House, they should take up the responsibility. The Honorable Minister on the floor, and that's why you can see he's having challenges to respond to the question. Last week, learn. You don't learn.
Order. Honorable PF Whip, please do not engage the
they
members.
Don't like to learn, Madam Speaker, because that's why we're having problems.
No, that is not... let's
Madam Speaker, I was saying the Honorable Minister was acting Minister of Agriculture, and that's the reason why he is responding to this question. The substantive minister is back and seated comfortably there. Who should have taken up that matter to conclude the question? Is the executive in order, Madam Speaker, to confuse us in this organized confusion kind of doing business? We are sliding slowly into a state of entropy, going nowhere slowly. Madam Speaker, but on a serious note, are they in order to conduct business in this manner? I seek your very serious guidance, Madam Speaker.
I'm not sure, because when the order of the day was read, and they were talking of a itinerary, I was even trying to ask which minister is supposed to answer this question. And then I saw the Minister of Fisheries indicating that he was the one answering. So that's why I called on the minister. And he was continuing from what was left. But since the matter relates to Ministry of Agriculture, and the Minister of Agriculture is in the House, the Minister of Agriculture should have answered the question. So the Honorable Minister should have picked up the questions. I think that's the procedure. Otherwise, because even me, I was saying Ginary, and maybe that's why the Honorable Member for Petauke is getting confused to bring in food reserve agents. So maybe the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, unless if he doesn't have the necessary information at hand.
Madam Speaker, Food Reserve Agency deals with food. We do not, at the Food Reserve Agency, deal with non-food items. I thank you.
Honorable Member for Petauke, what's the point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the point of order is directed to the Minister of Livestock. Is in order to mislead the nation to say I made the mistake that calling him acting Minister of Agriculture, where the question last week when we were adjourning, the question was he was acting Minister of Agriculture. But the people out there, they are thinking that maybe me have made a mistake. So I deserve an apology from him that it's him who made the mistake, not me. I seek your guidance, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think the confusion or the misunderstanding or the misapprehension is that when the question was asked on Friday, the Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock was acting as Minister of Agriculture. So I'm sure he assumed that any supplementary questions is going to make a follow-up. But as I had earlier guided, since the Minister of Agriculture is in the House, he should have taken up that responsibility to answer the question, because the acting minister came to an end when the Minister of Agriculture resumed his duties. So I can say that they were out of order. What a note to conclude the day on. The government chief whip. Oh, do we still have any questions? Supplementary questions? I see none. The government chief whip adjournment.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House do now adjourn.
Can we have some order, honorable members? I'm sure you can see that I'm standing. The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is resolved is agreed to. The House is now adjourned.
The Honourable for Madam Speaker's procession making way out of the chamber. That signifies as the close of business for today, which is 21st day in the month of March 2023. But before we leave, a recap of what has been considered on the floor of the House when business resumed at 14:30 this afternoon.
There was an announcement by Madam Speaker. She informed the House that the National Assembly of Zambia Strategic Plan 2002 to 2006, which was approved in 2022, will be launched on Wednesday, 22nd March 2023. The launch will take place in the auditorium here at Mena Parliament building at 09 hours, and therefore honorable members are invited to the launch and should be seated by 08:45 hours. Attendance is on a voluntary basis.
After that announcement, Madam Speaker did allow a number of members of Parliament to ask a question of matter of urgent importance, and we did see quite a number of members of Parliament posing a question to various cabinet ministers. And after that, the House did proceed to consider 7 questions for oral answer, understanding Order 74. And the first question did come from Mr. Kalimi Malole, Member of Parliament, and this was question 208, and this question was directed to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, and it was Chilubi, Member of Parliament, who was asking this question on behalf of the Malole lawmaker. The member wanted to find out when the construction of the Mulema Sampa Health Post in Malole Parliamentary constituency will be completed, and according to the minister's response, did say that in the second quarter of 2023. If there be part of the question what the cause of the delay in completing the project is, the minister did respond by saying that this is due to financial constraints, and see part of the question what the time frame for the completion of the project, the outstanding works is. The minister did respond that 1 month from completion. There you have it. So that's the first question that the House considered.
The second question, which is question number 209, came from Chamber Member of Parliament, Mr. Simpundu, and he directed his question to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. He wanted to find out whether the government has any plans to construct a water reticulation plan in Chembe district, and in B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and in C, if there are no such plans, why. And so the minister did respond, and he said he responded to the A part of the question as yes, government has plans to construct a water reticulation plant in Chembe district, and in the minister's response to question B, he said the contractor is on site and the works commenced during the 4th quarter of 2022.
Question 210 did come from the Member of Parliament from Sanzala, and this is Mr. E. Daka, and this question was directed to the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Honorable Jack Mwimbu. And the member wanted to find out when the construction of the following infrastructure in Lusangazi district will commence. These are police station staff houses, and according to the minister's response in A, he did say that government has plans to construct a modern grade A police station and 95 housing units. And the B part of the question, what the estimated cost of the project is, the minister did respond by saying